much, Jorden, and thank you for agreeing for this interview and giving us the opportunity to bring to light the workings of Greener Earth project and celebrating the World Environment Day with us. Now, since we have so much to talk about in this limited time, we have curated certain questions that would help us navigate this interview easier. So, should I start with my first question?
Yes, please. Yes.
Perfect. So I wanted to know if there is enough conversation about the importance of protecting the environment.
I think there hasn't been. Definitely it's sort of been overlooked in past. Things have always been more important. People have wanted to get goods at a better price, and that's come at the cost of the environment. But I think in the past year or so, especially with like COP26 that happened in the UK last year, there's definitely been more conversation around how we can move to a more sustainable future, how we can protect the environment better, especially with rising sea levels, deforestation happening everywhere. The planet's just getting hotter and hotter. We're seeing it even in the UK. It's warm here for once today, and that's it's all happening because of global warming, and I think we just need to carry on that conversation and make sure that it doesn't die out, because things happen, don't they? The prices go up. For example, in the UK, we're in the middle of a massive cost of living increase, and people just want the prices to go back down. Maybe that will encourage people to move to electric cars, which are in a way better for the environment because they're not polluting, but even they have their sort of downfalls. But I think there hasn't been, but it's getting better, and hopefully it will get even better.
That's actually terrible, because when it comes to prices and inflation, we are also facing the same kind of issue, and we are first-hand experiencing the changes in the climate as well, compared to the way the climate was when we were like 10 years, 12 years old, and compared to how it's now. We can see it by our own eyes. So, Jorden, I'd like to know, how does the Greener Earth project contribute in protecting and working for the environment?
So we help the environment by planting trees. So that's what we're all about. We plant trees all around the world. We work with community groups based mainly in Africa, but we've also got a couple in the UK. And we're trying to plant as many trees as possible to try and get rid of all that carbon that's in the air. But we're also making sure that we're planting the right kind of trees. So with the community group we're working with in Madagascar, they're planting mangrove trees, so that helps fight against rising sea levels. It helps stop the salt water creeping into the freshwater rivers, and it's also really good because mangrove trees are a great sort of nursery area for fish, so young fish will go and lay their eggs in there. It encourages all that kind of sea life, and then our site in Scotland is helping to restore peatlands that has been dug up and used for sort of compost and stuff. So we're helping to restore areas that have been degraded, but mainly it's all about planting the trees so that when they're fully grown they start to sequester the carbon out of the atmosphere. And statistics say that an area the size of the UK is lost to deforestation each year. So as long as we're helping to sort of restore some of that, it's only going to be good for the environment. Obviously we'd like it if they didn't cut down the trees in the first place, but if we're helping to turn the tide on that, it will have a massive impact on the environment.
So we talked about deforestation, how much planting trees can affect not only the diversity on land, but also the diversity. So are there any other issues that are not very much on the focus of people who are working for the environment? Are we missing out on some other issues that should be addressed?
I think there are a lot of conversations about the environment, but I think the thing that gets overlooked the most, in my opinion, is the impact that the internet has on the environment, and emails So people don't realise, you know, you send an email, it's not a physical thing, you can't see it, but you know, the data that it produces has got to be somewhere. And we're sending more and more emails, you know, especially over the past few years, it's become, you know, even bigger than it was. We've got streaming services such as Netflix, you know, you've got Amazon Prime, all that sort of thing. And people don't realise that the data centres needed for all of this are massive, and they have a massive impact on the environment because they need to be kept cool. You know, the more we use the internet, the more data centres they're going to need, so that's going to increase the amount of electricity we need to produce. And yeah, it just has a massive impact that you don't necessarily think about straight away because it's not a physical sort of thing that you can see. There are some people making, you know, steps towards reducing that impact a bit. Microsoft, for example, put a load of their data centers in a container, and then they sunk it on the bottom of the sea, so it didn't need air conditioning because the sea around it cooled the data centers inside. Obviously, it increased the sea temperature ever so slightly, but you know, people just need to realise that the impact, and maybe, you know, clear out your email inbox. You don't need, I'm guilty of it, I've got hundreds in mine, you know, just get in there, delete them all out, and then then there's not as many data centers needed to keep all those emails in the background that you're never going to read again.
Well, that was something that a company as big as Microsoft can do. Is this something that we can do on our personal level? But one point is clearing out the responses and making sure we do not send unnecessary emails. So is there something else that we can do on a personal level to ensure that the environment is protected?
Yeah, so there's loads of little things that anyone can do to help the environment. So, you know, like I said, clean out your inbox, but also, you know, maybe start a compost heap at home, you know, so that all your food, you know, your vegetable scraps going in there. Even things such as putting your washing on the washing line outside instead of using a tumble dryer. You know, checking that your electricity provider is comes from a renewable source. That's obviously a bit more difficult these days when especially in the UK, where they're telling you not to change energy providers. But yeah, it's just sort of little things. Even just sort of buying more food that's local. You know, if your food's not travelled as far, it's not going to have a massive impact on the environment. It also tastes a lot better because it's not had to be refrigerated as much, and even just sort of as well buying organic food. I know it's a bit more expensive, but has a much better impact on the environment because it's not had all those pesticides sprayed all over it. It's just sort of little things, you know, thinking about what you're doing each day and whether or not there's another way to go about it.
And I think when you're talking about the organic, consuming more organic food, we can again bring the concept of inflation here, because organic food, like I believe that's the case in every other country as well. It's comparatively expensive, and you need a heavier pocket to afford it.
Definitely,
Again,
yeah.
Again, inflation plays a massive role in giving us the liberty to choose something that is local and that's, you know, a little luxurious. So, Jorden, is there something an outsider can do to help the Greener Earth project flourish?
Obviously, we're always looking for donations, so that we can help further the amount of trees that we're planting. But then again, you know, something simple as just sharing one of our posts on social media to their network could have a massive effect on us, because they might be from a different area that we've not got a massive following in. So just sort of little things like, so sharing stuff on social media, or even, you know, volunteering for us. We're always looking for more volunteers to help us with our sort of our back of house things, so like marketing and help with our website, and just little things like that would, you know, help us get our name out there and help further the conversation about the environment.
And so this was the discussion about what we can do on our personal levels to help the environment or to help the organization. But when we talk about governments, when we talk about countries and the lawmakers that are out there, do you feel are they doing enough to protect the environment?
Not really. I think COP26 sort of highlighted that. I know it's difficult, and richer countries can do a lot more, a lot quicker, and I guess people in richer countries have that guilt that we've created. Well, I'll say we have, people in richer countries are the ones that have caused the majority of the CO2 emissions, and we've been doing it for longer, so we should pay our fair share of it. But I think other countries around the world could be doing a lot more, like China, for example. If they transition to not using coal as much, if they transitioned even to using gas, it'd be a lot better for the environment. Using coal. But then you've got countries like Australia, they're extremely wealthy, they're still mining coal, so they're not helping the situation there. If they stopped mining coal, it would take away part of the problem as well. And I think governments just need to think about the environment a bit more and just put it at the heart of everything they do. How could they could look at transitioning to cleaner energy sooner, helping the people in the countries be more sustainable, because at the end of the day, the longer we take, the worse the impact is going to be on the people living in the countries, and we're not helping ourselves by not helping the environment. And we just all need to every country in the world needs to pull together and think about how we can get to a more sustainable world quicker.
So I want to know what has been your personal motivation for working for this cause and starting the Cleaner Earth project.
So I've always been passionate about the environment. I grew up in the countryside, so you're surrounded by greenery, it's bound to have an impact. My family were farmers, they're not anymore, so you have that sort of thought about the environment put across to you from a young age. The motivation for starting the Green Earth project started with the bushfires that happened in Australia in 2020, right at the beginning. So you see it all on the television. It's far away, but it's not really that far away. You see massive impacts it had, the amount of trees that were burnt down, and then we sort of thought, what can we do to help? And you look on the internet, and there's not a massive amount of charities that are just planting trees, especially not in the UK. And so we sort of thought, well, if someone's not doing it, then why don't we do it? And why don't we help to plant trees, help the environment as much as we can? And that's sort of how the Greener Earth project was born.
That's beautiful, simple, and authentic. Thank you so much. I was expecting some really complex and really top-notch answer.
No, simple answer. We just sat there and thought, why not? No one else is helping. Let's do them as much as we can.
Listening to this just reminded me of a person who lives in our locality, and he, after retirement, whatever money he got some really hefty amount, and he used all of that just in doing plantation around the city, and he has exhausted all his money and all his savings.
Wow, that's incredible.
We are very thankful for people like them and people like you who are making this world a better place to live in, doing their little bit.
Yeah, that's all it needs, really. Just everyone doing a little bit, and then it'll have a massive impact.
Yeah, exactly. So, starting with this question, we have come to the end of the interview, and thank you so much for agreeing for this and helping us understand and shedding some light. So, yeah.
thank you very much for inviting me. It's been nice.